I want to do a quick tip rant. And if you have followed my channel for very long or at all and gone through a whole series, you have seen that I make a tradition of tipping out the people that help my experience be fantastic. When we came back to our room last night, we had the tip tip hooray envelope on our door. As a disclaimer to this video, I am operating on the understanding that I have of contract work in the United States and what I have experienced as a waitress and working in the service industry in the United States. The people that are working on these ships are not protected by the laws that govern tips and how gratuities are distributed and things like that, which even with those laws in place, contract workers have been taken advantage of and screwed over ridiculously because of the apps and things like Uber. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that since the restart of cruising, this is our first time going back on board, but I have 8 cruises booked after this in the next several months, and all of them are implementing an 18% auto gratuity on every single purchase, whether it is a dining room charge, a beverage package, an individual cocktail, whatever. I personally tip over that amount every time that I do anything, anywhere. However, I don't believe that the workers on these cruise ships are actually receiving those gratuities. So I still feel an obligation to tip above and beyond whatever the auto gratuity is. And this is an example. I usually have at least 5 of these envelopes, and I put the name of whoever I'm enjoying my service from, give them 20 to 50, maybe depending on the length of the cruise, I have tipped up to $200 for the person. And I'm only doing 1 envelope for this cruise. I can't remember what the base gratuity was the last time I cruised, but I want to say it was like $7 to $10. And it is now, it was $14 when we booked this cruise, and by the time we got on board, it was $16 per person per day. Spread across the whole staff, okay, I understand that. And I do feel like the staff is working very hard to make sure we have a great time. Please don't take this video as discrediting the effort or the value of the crew, because that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that we paid $31 every day of this cruise on top of the price of the trip. And then every drink we bought, we paid 18% plus whatever we chose to tip them above that. I want to know if crew members are actually seeing an increase in their earnings, because tips have become a huge line item on the cost of a cruise. On day 1, I mentioned that I would discuss this by the end because our experience on boarding day was like, John went to buy us our boarding cocktail. We were on deck 9 by the pool. No one came to take our order. So he went and he got our drinks and brought them back to the table. And then we went into Schooner Bar, waited, and we were right by the piano, right by the main service area. Nobody came to ask us for our order. So he went up to the bar and ordered them and pointed out where we were seated so that once the drinks were ready, they could be delivered to us. Well, despite this 18% auto gratuity, there was no service. The bartender made eye contact with John and indicated to him that it was time to come pick up his own drinks. That's weird to me. I really don't know. I feel like that these extra fees are being placed on Americans' bills, and we're not actually seeing the service we would have experienced if they were expecting that we tipped them on the side or additional at the end. And that is one aspect, but then I'm also suspicious. I get the impression, based on the attitude of the employees, that they're not seeing these tips. I think that the cruise lines are adding, it's basically an 18% surcharge on anything you buy on board, or the drink package if you buy up front. I just simply don't believe it's being passed on to the workers. And I'm certainly not of the Australian mindset where you just don't tip at all, but something's not right with the system right now. And I as a good tipper, I see a problem. I don't know what the solution is. Well, I do know the solution. If you want to put an auto gratuity on, somehow guarantee to customers that it is going to the worker, and then make it at a level where the customer still can feel comfortable and happy to tip above what that rate is for the people who make their experience above and beyond. I have met, I would say, just like normal, 3 to 5 people who just made it their mission to improve our experience, and they deserve to be recognized with a cash tip. I feel like I have been squeezed dry, if that's the right way of saying it. They've already billed me so much for tips that that budget item is spent. And I would like to direct that money to the people who deserve it, instead of it going into a pool that we have no guarantee is actually making its way to those people that are putting in the effort on our trip to make sure we have a great time. So anyway, I am doing one of these for our awesome room steward, Adonis, and I will thank him. But that's the only extra gratuity I'm giving this time, and it really makes me feel bad as a customer that I don't have the inclination to give more to other people. At every restaurant that we've had dinner in, we paid the price plus the 18% tip and then an additional tip. Of course, I'm never gonna sign the receipt when there's a tip line and not add more. But I think tonight at dinner, I might ask our waiter, are you actually getting this tip? Because I don't wanna give the company more money that you're only getting a portion of or none of. And in America, that would not be legal. But I know in America, even where there are laws protecting tips, these companies just steal. It is stealing. And so when 18% of our trip is spent on tips, I want to make sure those employees are getting it.